Back with more Bay Sunday now. If you are in a relationship that continues to run into the same problem time and time again, well, we've got a little help for you here. It's a new book called Break the Argument Cycle, How to Stop Fighting Without Therapy. It's an educational tool and a bit of a workbook too, with the hope of resolving the core issues of early arguments so deeply rooted that you just keep repeating them time and time again. So today it's time to clear the air. And here to chat about it with us is the author and a licensed marriage and family therapist, 30 years up in Santa Rosa, Sharon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well on this Sunday.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you've been a therapist for 30 years.
I have, yes.
You finally wrote the book, and this has kind of been the essence of what you've been preaching for years, right?
Yes.
Why did it take you so long to write the book?
Well, have you ever tried to write a book? It's a really long process, and I'm not a writer. I'm a therapist, so I really had to learn how to write for people to read, and it's a very different thing than just talking to people. So, and it took a while just to get my thoughts together, figure out how to do chapters, so it's a process.
Well, the premise of the book is the premise of just about every relationship.
Yeah.
You fall in love or you really care for someone, but there might be an issue out of the gate, and if you're together for months or years or whatever, you have an argument over something trivial, but you keep going back there, you know?
Right.
Well, you keep reaching for that stone to say, well, I'm going to throw this at you, and then you walk away.
Right.
How do you break that cycle?
Well, you have to know what happens with fighting is that we're doing all the wrong things. We think we're doing the right things. We think we're, you know, stating our point. We're telling our partner how we feel. But we're doing the wrong things because we've got to go back to our core childhood issue, and nobody knows that. And I discovered this, that in the first argument, not only is it the argument that's going to repeat itself in different forms throughout the relationship, guaranteed, that first argument, we don't know the importance of that. Number one, that it repeats itself, and also that it goes back to our core childhood issues. If you don't know those issues, you can't resolve the argument.
So you kind of have to know yourself before you can love somebody else.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, and we want to blame, and we want to shame, and we want to be right in our arguments. We don't want to look in the mirror and talk about ourselves. Who wants to do that? I mean, that's hard work.
Well, I like what you mentioned in the book. You got to peel, you got to reveal, you got to heal. Now, the peeling I can see.
Yeah.
Revealing, yeah, I got a problem here, but how do you heal it? How do you get over that so you can nurture someone and bring them into your life?
Once you know, when people fight, it's the blaming and the shaming game. And it's like, if I'm blaming you, why would you want to be nice to me, or why would you want to have empathy for me?
Right.
But if you know that I'm upset because I was abandoned as a child, let's say, and every time you're late for dinner, I feel abandoned. You don't know that.
Right.
I'm just telling you you're late for dinner, and how dare you? If you know that it's my issue that gets triggered, you're going to have more empathy for me. And you're not going to want to fight with me, because in a realm of empathy and understanding, we resolve arguments, we don't build resentment. But we don't know that. We're just blaming and shaming and doing that game.
Well, the bottom line, you got to communicate.
You got to communicate, and you got to talk. And you've got to talk from what's real.
Right.
Not just you're late for dinner again.
All that kind of thing.
Exactly.
What's the number one hang-up we have? What do human beings argue about the most?
You know, that's a good question, because it's different for, you know, I'd say sex, money, children, chores.
Right.
Those repeat themselves. But again, underneath that is everybody's unique core issue. And once you know that you're really getting triggered by your own core issue, it changes really what you argue about, because, you know, suddenly you don't have so many things to argue about.
So in the book, you've got some exercises. You have some case studies. Now, are these people that you worked with or that you kind of put together?
Both.
Both.
Yeah,
a little bit of both.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
And you kind of work people through, you know, if X, then Y. Here's how you can kind of solve it, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and I teach them. We learn, and in my book, Breaking the Argument Cycle, there is a whole questionnaire to discover your core issue. Because once you discover that, and each partner knows that, then they learn how to be nice to each other, they can listen more, they can compromise, they're not going to be so resentful, they're going to resolve issues. You want to resolve, not resent.
Right.
That's the key.
And what's been the reaction? Have you had people come up and just say, thank you so much?
Oh, well, the reaction, that's such a good question. The reaction is hope. Yeah. Because suddenly people that have had no hope that they could, they're on their way to divorce court, or they're having an affair, or they're doing all the things that happen when resentments build up. Suddenly they have hope. Suddenly they love that person that they once loved again, that they thought they weren't in love with.
Well, it's a terrific book. We're out of time, sadly, but we wish you all the best with it.
Thank you so much for having me.
So nice to meet you, Sharon.
Yeah, thank you.
If you'd like to get a copy of Breaking the Argument Cycle, log on to SharonRifkin.com. That's SharonRifkin.com. That's it for this week's edition of Bay Sunday. We're back next week. Until then, enjoy, everybody. Take care.